Test, test.
Yeah. 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 Make sure to avoid.
Test, test. Hello, hello.
Good. Keep trying.
That's good.
You like it? You
Yeah.
think it's coming out just fine? Okay. All right.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in just a few moments. But until then, as you find your seats, you'll see a prompt up here for a mindful moment. If you have your bag, you have a notebook in there and a pen. If you want to take a moment, you can follow the prompt up on the screen that just shares a quick mindful moment. And then again, as folks are coming in, we do have a mindful prompt up here. In your swag bags, there's a green notebook, and if you want to use that, you can take a moment to do a mindful moment. So what is one word or phrase that has made you feel any of the following? Safe, heard, valued, joyful, happy, at ease, calm, connected, belonging. So in your bags, you have a green notebook if you want to just take a moment. All right, so while you're all doing that, we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll do introductions in just a moment, but first, I'm going to invite Jimena Diaz-Jackson with Woodland, Davis Joint Unified to help open today's summit with instructions for our Spanish-speaking attendees. So welcome, Jimena.
Thank you. Thank you, CommuniCare. Le damos la bienvenida a nuestros asistentes que hablan español. Hay dos sesiones principales que tienen interpretación simultánea usando audífonos. Si usted no obtuvo audífonos de interpretación a la entrada, por favor pueden pasar al vestíbulo. 3 de los salones que van a tener sesiones también van a tener interpretación simultánea. Estamos encantados que ustedes estén aquí. Gracias.
Thank you, Jimena. And we will be doing Spanish interpretation throughout the session today and in the workshop. So again, if you are placed near an interpreter and it's distracting to you, just let us know or just move yourself. So just to be aware of that throughout the sessions today. All right, I'm going to move to the land acknowledgement. We should take a moment to acknowledge the land on which we are gathered at this event. For thousands of years, this land has been the home of the Patwin people. And today there are 3 federally recognized Patwin tribes: the Quechua-Dihi Band of Wintun Indians of the Clusa Indian Community, the Quetzal-Dihi Band of Wintun Indians, and the Yocha-Dihi Wintun Nation. The Patwin people have remained committed to the stewardship of the land over many centuries and has been cherished and protected as elders have instructed the young through the generations. And we are honored and grateful to be gathered here today on their traditional lands. And I'll ask Jimena to give the land acknowledgement in Spanish.
Tomémonos un momento para reconocer la tierra en que estamos reunidos. Durante miles de años, esta tierra ha sido el hogar del pueblo Parwin. Hoy en día hay 3 tribus Parwin reconocidas a nivel federal: la banda de Cachihil-Dehe de los indios Wintun de la comunidad de indios de Colusa, la nación Quetzal-Dehe Wintun y la nación Yoha-Dehe Wintun. Durante muchos siglos, el pueblo Parwin se ha mantenido comprometido con la administración de esta tierra. Ha sido apreciada y protegida como los ancianos han enseñado a los jóvenes a través de generaciones. Nos sentimos honrados y agradecidos de estar hoy aquí en sus tierras ancestrales. Gracias.
All right. With that, welcome everyone. Hi, my name is Anthony Volkar. I'm the chair of the Building Resilient Yolo Summit. Let's give a round of applause to Jimena. And then I'm going to move, let's advance the slides just a little bit. Perfect, I think keep going. Keep going. One more. There you go. All right. We're caught up to speed. So I'm really, really excited. For those that aren't aware, if some of you have been with Resilient Yolo for a while, this is the 5th annual conference. 5th annual. So for some of you, has anyone been to all 5? I think there's a handful of folks. Okay, Jennifer's raising her hand. It's a couple light hands, but there's been 5 of them. It's really exciting. Through the pandemic, we had to do a virtual hybrid summit last year, but we're happy to be back in person together today. This summit is made possible with funding by the California ACEs Aware Initiative through the practice program. And the key partners, as you see on the screen, I believe there might be one more. There you go. The key partners are the CommuniCare Health Centers, the Yolo County Children's Alliance, the Yolo County Office of Education, First 5 Yolo, Yolo County CASA, and along with many other partner organizations that you see around the room and you see outside tabling today. I want to take a moment to note our elected officials. I don't think I've seen him yet, but we had Garth Lewis, our county superintendent, will be joining us later this afternoon. We also have Sheila Allen, deputy to Yolo County Supervisor Jim Provenza. She'll be joining us. We have Shelton Yip, Board of Education. Thank you, Shelton, for being here today. We also have Jackie Wong with the Washington Unified School Board and also Executive Director. Welcome, Jackie. Executive Director for First Five California. And did I miss anyone else? I'm scanning the room. Thank you all for being here. I want to take a moment, because there isn't always a place to do that, to thank the Planning Committee. So while myself as chair, we really did have a really phenomenal Planning Committee. So if you are on the Planning Committee, if I would just ask you to stand up, you know who you are because you attended meetings with us. Thank you for all your work. This was a lot of work because we've talked about dates, and initially we talked about doing the spring again. We decided on fall, but the Planning Committee's been meeting regularly, planning the activities, helping select the keynote speaker, helping select the workshops, and so they've been really phenomenal in the work with that today. And as well with that, and I know she darted out, so I'll have to do this again, but Holly Wong, our event planner for today, is absolutely phenomenal, and we couldn't have done this without her. I also do want to do, oh yes. I want to do one more acknowledgement. So our bags today, when we were getting really close, Roxana from Health Education Council reached out and graciously offered Health Education Council to sponsor the bags. So if you look at them, they're very, very nice. We're very appreciative to them and then all the organizations that help put stuff in the bags. CASA has something in there, and we bought the little notebook. So thank you to Health Education Council. Next slide. And I'm leaving it up there. Keep going, one more. Oh, perfect. So this is the slide where normally we would introduce our co-chairs, and unfortunately neither of them could be here today. So both had personal emergencies come up. I do want to share that Resilient Yolo wouldn't be possible without them. While I'm chairing the summit, they're chairing the collaborative. It's a lot of work, and they lead monthly meetings, and we really wish they could be here today because they've just both stepped into this new leadership role. But we'll miss Alice and Melina, so send them a note. But again, in their absence, that's just why I want to acknowledge that I'm reading what they would have shared. So I apologize if it sounds a little clunky for coming from me. All right, so I'm going to share a little bit more about the Resilient Yolo Collaborative, a trauma-informed network of care. Next slide. Actually, one more. So what is Resilient Yolo? So in 2012, a small group came together in a collaborative effort formed by the Yolo County's probation department, and they were working to complete a multi-year positive youth justice innovation grant. This group of nonprofit organizations and individuals found themselves bonded and committed to the idea of spreading awareness of childhood adversity and the importance of community health in addressing it. And the group was inspired by the work and dedication of ACES Connection founder Jane Stevens and received early support from many in the education field when their documentary Paper Tigers was released. So Resilient Yolo emerged and began hosting screenings and holding forums which connected educators across Yolo County with training in principles that brought trauma-informed awareness into the school systems. So now flash forward to 2014. Resilient Yolo was officially formed. And what is Resilient Yolo? It is a community-based collaborative with an interest in strengthening the resilience of Yolo County by providing education about adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. You're going to hear that a lot today. In 1995, a study on ACEs identified a link between ACEs exposure and a higher likelihood of negative health and behavioral outcomes, which you're also going to hear today from our wonderful speakers. Oh, perfect. This is the mission and vision of Resilient Yolo, and the mission is based on creating and growing partnerships between nonprofits, agencies, schools, elected officials, community members, parents, and more, all with the goal of intentionally preventing and addressing trauma associated with adverse childhood experiences. So in this group, I've seen various individuals come together in a creative way to work towards the vision, and the vision, again, is to create a more resilient community in which we can all thrive. Now, throughout the year, we work on things that are related to this, the summit, everything that leads up to the summit, the initiatives and the efforts. They're all trauma-informed and foundational to the summit. Resilient Yolo meets virtually on the second Friday of every month for 1 hour and 15 minutes. And again, they're really informative meetings, and you'll see an invitation later in the program to join. Now, really briefly to talk about this summit, Resilient Yolo brings our community together to center on the well-being of children, youth, and families. This summit brings together policymakers, educators, leaders, healthcare professionals, organizers, youth, and anyone in our community who wants to make a difference. And at this year's 5th annual Building a Resilient Yolo Summit, we selected the theme, Healing Yolo, Connect, Reflect, and Act. So I think for us, as we event organizers were thinking about this, we knew last year was focused really on consequences of the pandemic and where we were going, really as a community. And we've seen issues happening in the community, and this was, as we planned 5 to 8 months ago, we still felt like we were at a place where YOLO needed to examine itself and think about how we're going to heal as a community. And in that, we wanted to set a call of action for all of you. And that's where the Connect, Reflect, and Act. We've been really intentional with our programming today. You'll have an opportunity to sit through different workshops to connect with other people at lunch, during breaks. But really at the end, we really want you to reflect on the work and the things that you hear today and really build a call to action for yourself. So you'll see that throughout the program, and you'll see that at the end when we really focus on the act, but just so you're aware of that. Next slide, perfect. So one of the things we do want to draw attention to is the countywide strategic plan. While this work is happening at Resilient Yolo, it does connect to the greater work that's happening within Yolo County as well. So there are several initiatives throughout Yolo County that are working with the goal of thriving residents. So if you have an opportunity, the county strategic plan specifically calls out thriving residents as a section, and they state it's to support the social, economic, and physical environments which promote good health and protect vulnerable populations. And that's so that community members and future generations have the opportunity to learn and grow to their full potential. So how are we doing it? So community partners are working to pilot universal screening for ACEs and referrals to the appropriate levels of treatment. You see that listed on there. As well, there are other initiatives that support this work, such as the Roadmap to the Future initiative and the Healthy Yolo project that's being led by Health and Human Services Agency. So where are we going? So we've pulled up this strategic plan. We've talked about Resilient Yolo. Well, all that depends on all of you. So as you go through today, we're asking you to consider how you are going to help build and shape the Yolo County that we want to see. In our final session, we've built time for you to connect, reflect, and act. And so again, as you put all these pieces together, really everything's with the goal of how do we build a more resilient, healthy, centered, balanced, connected community where we all live. So with that, it is my honor to introduce Dr. Erica Rashan-Ravan and Desiree Sprigner from CommuniCare Health Centers. They are going to share more with us today about health and resilience in Yolo County.
Rashan-Ravan. This is Desiree.
Hi, Desiree Spignorn.
We're really excited to be here today and really sad to not have Allison and Melina with us right now to help present it. We were planning to do sort of an integrated presentation, and Desiree and I were just stepping in to just do all the pieces of the presentation, and so I hope it all makes sense ultimately, but bear with us. But thank you so much to Allison and Melina, who made a lot of the slides, and also thank you to Sarah Haynes from UC Davis, who made a lot of the slides from our part, and special thanks to Jasmine Cuellar, who is also here, who has been really instrumental in coordinating all these efforts. And so Desiree and I are here from CommuniCare, and we're really here to tell you more about the grant funding, the grants that we have been receiving, the grant partners through ACEs Aware over the last few years, and how that is connected with Resilient Yolo. Because ultimately what we want is to reduce duplication and align efforts, and as part of that we really want these grant-funded groups, these practice partners to come together within Resilient Yolo and work together and align all these different efforts that are going on. And so this is a fantastic pyramid that Allison developed, and together with Melina, and it shows a little bit of where we are at. So at the top, very top, you see where we are right now. We're at the Resilient Yolo Summit. At the bottom is that grant funding that we have been receiving with some partners that we will be introducing in a little bit that are all part of Resilient Yolo. And then the Resilient Yolo Collective, that is really a group of so many groups that are represented here today. The UC Davis Pod Center, the Perinatal Origins of Disparities, has been instrumental in these collaborations, and then building a sort of a referral platform. How can we work together has been part of this effort. And on top, again, we come here together to try to align these efforts to work together in this Resilient Yolo Summit. And as I think Anthony said also in his parts, Resilient Yolo really initially started with probation and education services, grassroots service providers. And in the last few years, we have been working to integrate healthcare also in this effort to build resiliency and the trauma-informed network across the county. And as part of that, we want to develop shared language. We want to align efforts. We want to reduce duplication, and just learn from each other. And it's all a work in progress. We're all building this together as we go. And so with that, we want to tell you a little bit more about the grants and what we have been doing and our grant partners and how that all builds in together. So next slide. Next slide.
All right, can you all hear me? Yeah, okay, great, thank you. A little bit nervous, so I just want to go ahead and name that. All right, take a breath. So this slide just really illustrates the grant funding that we've been utilizing. We've had the privilege over the past 3 years to be awarded the ACEs Aware Initiative grant funding. So the first one was the Trauma-Informed Network of Care grant, and that grant really focused on creating that network of care. And then the second grant is the practice grant, which we're currently utilizing. And that one was headed by us, headed by CommuniCare, sorry. And it included the same community partners that were included on the first initiative. So if you can just advance the slide. And those community partners included First Five, UC Davis, Resilient Yolo, CommuniCare, and then Yolo County Children's Alliance, Partnership Health Plan of California, and Winders Health Foundation.
If you are in there, so can you wave if you were part of any of these groups? So, yay. So lots of people here, and so the goals of the grant really are like stated here, that are sort of the project purpose is to increase the capacity of medical providers, community-based organizations, and medical managed care plans to leverage existing and new sources of state funding to achieve these goals. And so that is the practice grant goals, is to strengthen partnerships, to screen for adverse childhood experiences, identify people who are at risk, and respond to that toxic stress. The second one is developing sustainable, practical, community-informed, evidence-based services to target toxic stress and respond to adverse childhood experiences and reduce them and prevent them. And then building a sustainable workforce, a workforce that is trauma-informed, a workforce that supports, again, ACEs screenings, but also in particular responding to toxic stress and reducing toxic stress in the first place.
And to pare down those goals, what they really look like during implementation, we were trying to increase capacity to provide more trauma-informed care and services in the community, to improve the experience of care for community members receiving support for our network. So really making sure that we're able to provide some support and education to community partners about what trauma-informed really is, the principles of trauma-informed care and what that would look like in the environment, in your workflows, when people come in to receive services, the support that they should receive, like from the folks that are first initiating support and services, the people that might care for them in the back, at least for us, for FQHC. Also to cultivate service provider connectivity, resilience, and reduce burnout, to increase capacity to connect community members with appropriate referrals for community-based services. And what we were trying to do there is really create a network and identify possibly a shared referral platform that we can utilize that would provide closed loop services. And some of these main activities included a trauma-informed care education training for service providers and staff. We partnered with Origins to create a trauma-informed 12-month series, learning series. We also created the trauma-informed resilience-oriented champion, so identifying champion partners within our organization and other organizations to really champion this work, providing education about toxic stress, resilience, building skills, and ACEs, providing resources for patients' families, and conducting screenings to address ACEs and social determinants of health. And in the clinics, in Winners clinics, this looked like having health coaches, and in CommuniCare, it was about providing patient navigators who would provide ACEs screenings and addressing social determinants of health and resource building. What we're working towards, or what we work towards and are currently working towards, are a shared closed-loop referral platform and community engagement, education, and support around trauma-informed care. And I think this illustration perfectly illustrates what we have in our current system, how challenging it can be to navigate the resources, navigating skills, and again, the ideal system would be able to have a one-stop shop where people are able to connect with navigators and community partners to be able to really get all of their services and provided in one space.
So one of the key things that we learned ultimately over the last few years working together with all these different partners is ultimately it's all about the people. Ultimately, it's about the people and the relationships. We're working with technology and other things, and technology changes and programs change and things change. But people and relationships, that's really what it comes down to, and that's who we serve, and that's where we look for what is needed. And so we're always evolving, but ultimately what it comes down to is these responsive relationships that we are building, and that is the main reason we are all here today. And so, looking forward a little bit. So, like, what are we doing? What are we hoping for? I think one of the big advantages of these grant projects is that ACEs Aware, or now UCAN, who's providing these or administering these grants, this is a statewide effort. So there is a lot of grantees across the state, and we are all participating in every other week workshops with all these grantees across the state. And so one of the advantages is that we also get a lot of inspiration from other counties, what other people are doing in other places, and they can learn from us and we can learn from each other. And that has been really, really informative and really inspiring. And so one thing that, we just talked about relationships. So I think that's the top first one. We want to continue to build relationships to move our communities and all the services in our communities towards being trauma-informed. And then the next one is aligning efforts. That's another reason we want to work together, and why we strongly feel that Resilient Yolo and the Trauma-Informed Network of Care, this grant-funded effort, really has to become like one and the same. We want to not build duplicate organizations or duplicate efforts, that really we all have the same goal. So we really are sort of merging this together within Resilient Yolo. And so in this effort to really align our efforts, because there's so many great things going on in the community, but we don't necessarily always know about each other, and that is really the key effort that we want to have within Resilient Yolo, to align these efforts and learn about each other. And this also includes, many of you are, I know there's people here that worked on the CHA and the CHIP within the county, roadmaps to the future, or Hate-Free Together, Healthy Yolo Together, all these different initiatives, so much great work happening. And Resilient Yolo brings a lot of these different groups into the same room, and I know many of you are here today, so we can align some of those efforts and not create duplication. Then the next one is centralizing training. So we realized that there's a lot of different people doing different things across the county, and not everyone has the same level of knowledge and awareness of what trauma-informed care is. Some that's like their daily work, that's what all they do, and others may hear of that for the first time. And so we are working towards an effort where we could have trainings available that are tailored to what different organizations, different individuals, where they are at, and sort of so we can all as a community move towards being more trauma-informed. Then we want, so we get really aspirational in this work. So one thing that we have, when we talk in these different groups, whether it's CHIP and JA, or Roadmap to the Future, or Resilient Yolo, or the grant groups, the one thing that that keeps popping up is like, wouldn't it be nice if we had this one-stop shop where people can access resources in one place, and no matter where they need to go, it can just be accessed through one place. So this is one thing we are thinking about. We are considering sort of a county-wide closed-loop referral system. Could we all be connected through that? And we have had many discussions and considerations of that, but ultimately the most important is that we are all at the table, and this is not the table of the grant groups, these like 7 entities that were mostly involved. That table is not large enough. We need really everyone in the county to sort of see how we can participate or come together around this, and that is our hope, that we can move towards that. And then the last thing that we stated here is one thing we learned from other counties. So for example, Fresno County and Sonoma County have fairly advanced sort of networks across the county, where it's in Sonoma they call it Sonoma Connect, and in Fresno they call it Fresno CHIP, but and so there's 150 entities together in Fresno, or 90 something in Sonoma, that are doing the same work. And one thing that we see there is that they have grant funded or permanently funded positions that are specifically working on this, on bringing everyone together and helping to align all of these different efforts within the county. And so that is one of the learning points and one of the hopes we have to continue to secure grant funding, at least to move this work forward. And as the last thing here in this part is we just, next slide, I just put this up again because I don't know if Melina or Allison found this, but it's really, I think, a fantastic illustration of what we are trying to do with Resilient Yolo, with all of you, with all the partners, to just make this very complicated system that is really not trauma-informed when you're just getting super stressed out trying to access a service and it's just too complicated, and trying to make this more trauma-informed to increase resiliency in our communities through alignment of our systems.
Here is, there we go. This is our call to action. Most of these organizations, if not all the organizations, are represented here in the room today. So thank you, appreciate everybody for coming. This is really awesome. One thing that we would like to try to do, as Erica mentioned, is like find some continued funding to help support with organizing and somebody to really do the work. It's really hard work for all of us to do. We all have our regular day-to-day jobs. So having a position or a few positions in order to do that, that's how we've been able to see it work in other counties. Also doing the work to de-jargonize the language that we're using and presenting, especially to our community members. And then a continued focus on cross-sector collaboration, because we can identify all the platforms in the world, but if it's really us, the people doing the work, bringing folks together, and that's the really impactful piece.
To end with this is about collaboration, is really about communication, trust, and a culture of learning. And that's what we want to do together. And I love this quote. It says, trauma-informed systems, principles, and practices support reflection in place of reaction, self-sacrifice and collective impact rather than, curiosity in lieu of numbing, self-care instead of self-sacrifice, and collective impact rather than siloed structures. And so to quote verse 5, San Diego, we're saying we're born learning, so let's begin. Thank you.
All right, Tess, that was perfect. Great, I didn't want to give you all. Let's give another round of applause for Dr. Erica and Desiree. So again, you can see, I think that my takeaway is there's more room at the table, right? I mean, it's just like when you're at your own table at home, you can put up more seats. So for those of you that are new, first time hearing about Resilient Yolo, it's a very friendly group. A lot of people that interact with each other. They're just really engaged in this work. So if any of this is resonating with you, just know there'll be an opportunity as well for you to still participate. Oh, perfect. So we just want to take a moment to review today's schedule. There's been some changes. So if you saw a pen in your bag, or if you have a pen, if you want to pull out your schedule, I'll just note the changes for you, and they're already reflected on the screen as well. So this is your schedule for today. We'll have the first round of sessions. We got some feedback last year, so we have a really incredible keynote. We adjusted the schedule around today. I think last time we were in a different space, and so when we had a lot of interest in our keynote. So that's why we brought in the theater, so you can see we have lots of space. If any of your coworkers or colleagues didn't get the chance to participate, but if you're engaged and you want to invite them to come out and join us, we'll have plenty of space for the keynote this afternoon. So if anyone else on your team wants to join us, we'll have space. So we'll be back in here at 2:05. We'll have 2 rounds of workshops with lunch sandwich in the middle, and we'll go over if you want to do next slide. So these are our session 1 workshops. There is a change here. So PACES Connection, our keynote speaker, Kashana and Gail Kennedy, they're going to co-lead that session. It's going to be fantastic. We also have a session on community school partnerships led by Washington United Way and the Yolo County Office of Education. If you're looking on there, the 3rd session is the change. So where it says what the SUD, substance use disorder in diverse communities, that is moved. So that is no longer in the 2nd round of workshops. Unfortunately, due to a family emergency, the Alliance for a Healthier Generation couldn't be here today. So we've moved over the CommuniCare session from the 2nd round over. But it will still be in the MPRB room. And our YOLO Neurodiverse Network will still meet for the 4th session. All right, and this is now our session 2. We did have an extra room, and they were in a smaller room, so that's why we scooted them over. So these are the 4 sessions. In this space, we will have a Health and Human Services Agency who's going to give a presentation about the Healthy YOLO Initiative and the work they've done with the CHIP. We also have Un Cafecito. That is a session in Spanish. So if you attend, there will be English translation available if you don't speak Spanish, but just know that is on the schedule. Our 3rd session is Art and Resilience. That's a dual session with the Davis Arts Center and the Interactive Healing Arts Project, and YOLO Cares will still present. And again, we just won't have anyone in the game room. If you didn't catch that announcement and you still need it, we're working to update the signage outside the room. We'll also have an attendant out there to remind you as well. But the big change again is that SUD session will happen in the 1st round. All right, let me look at my notes. There was a last-minute addition to the swag bag, so thank you, Tessa Smith. I know she's here. There's Tessa. Thank you, Tessa. Tessa's amazing as always. There are stress balls. I'm sure none of you are stressed in this very relaxing environment. But if you get stressed in your own life outside of today, there are star stress balls. So if you showed up early, you may not have gotten one. Those of you who came in near the end may have already had one in your bag, but just know they're out there. If you stop by registration, you can grab one. We do want to acknowledge the Lenices. Lenice says, I'm from West Sac. Lenice is from West Sac. It's so great to see her out here. She's out here doing the catering today. She'll be doing breakfast and lunch. So make sure to say hello to her, and they're open to more catering business. They're ready to travel, they said. What is our keynote speaker going to talk about? So Kashana Evans is our keynote speaker. She's going to speak on his Paces of Movement. She's absolutely phenomenal. Where's Kashana? I saw her. There she is. Kashana right in the front over here. She's phenomenal, got a lot of energy. She spent a lot of time learning about us, so she's really excited to share her perspective from the national organization. And then again, with Gail Kennedy, she's going to be leading our closing workshop, which again is going to translate our learning today into individual and collective action. And again, we really hope that you will build stronger connections with other individuals, agencies, and organizations in our region. And we invite you to join the resource table, so they'll be out at all of the breaks. And lunch as well, tabling for all of you. Now with that, you're welcome now to go ahead and connect. There are beverages in the courtyard if you didn't get a coffee or drink. And workshops will start at 10:15, so you have a half hour. So thank you again for joining us this morning. I hope you have a phenomenal conference, and we'll see you back here at 2:05.